Can I ask you to take your seats, please? Welcome all to our 2022 Alumni Weekend. It is an absolute delight to have everybody back here together after a 2-year hiatus, 2 years that were difficult for everyone, but the spirit already, and it's just Friday, that I can see and I can feel is palpable. It's wonderful to see so many old friends and Dickinsonians. In addition, there are a number of Dickinsonians that I've not yet met, and I look forward to meeting you over the next couple days and during this festive weekend. So we come together this afternoon to celebrate the importance of our volunteers and to express our deep gratitude for their efforts on behalf of our college. As president of this college, I know what a critical role our volunteers play in the life of the college. Believe me, we have some just exemplary stewards and people who give the extra measure day after day, including many of you in this audience. From helping to recruit new students to making internship and career opportunities available to our current students and alumni, to encouraging classmates and friends to join in supporting the college's fundraising efforts, you are all such an important part of our work. We simply could not be the world-class institution that we are without your constant dedication, and so I thank you for that. We're also here tonight to recognize 5 alumni who have set themselves apart through their career achievements and their service to the college. And I think you'll agree that each is more than deserving of receiving the Alumni Council's Distinguished Alumni Awards. As we begin the awards, I'm going to hand the program over to Bernadette Stout. Bernadette, of course, is president of the Alumni Council. She's doing a fabulous job, by the way, in that capacity. And I'm going to turn the program over to her to present the citations. Bernadette.
Thank you, President Jones. As President Jones said, I'm Bernadette Stout. I'm the class of 2007, on campus now to celebrate my 15th reunion, and I have the honor of serving as your Alumni Council president. As part of this role, I've seen how volunteers truly impact the momentum of the college. Over the past 2 years, our volunteers have come together in new ways to support our alma mater, and it has been touching to see. Dickinson is made better by their dedication, and I am thrilled to be here to honor these remarkable alumni by presenting 4 volunteer awards and 5 distinguished alumni awards. A career champion is a Dickinsonian who provided significant and consistent contributions toward the advancement of the Career Center. Ro Falcone has been a tremendous partner in helping Dickinson students, exploring majors, defining purposeful career paths, articulating the strengths of a liberal arts education, and gaining valuable work experience. Ro has been a constant partner with the Career Center's employer relations team as an active recruiter of our students for her employer. She has hosted several students as interns and participated in our annual virtual career fair. Additionally, Ro has been actively involved in promoting diversity within the workplace. For example, she presented to LGBTQ students on navigating their identities while at work. Last, but certainly not least, Ro has been the chair of the Alumni Council's Career Committee, working to increase alumni mentorship and networking opportunities. She has truly helped to change the lives of many Dickinson students. For her willingness to help, her example of leadership to other alumni, and her genuine commitment to Dickinson students, we recognize Ro Falcone as our Career Champion of the Year. The Class Correspondent of the Year is an alumna who has provided significant and consistent contributions to the Dickinson magazine. Becky Smith has been the correspondent for the class of 1977 since 2007. This spring, she worked to include updates from members of her 45th reunion committee, as well as details about the upcoming festivities. Anytime Becky connected with a fellow Dickinsonian in the wider world, whether planned or unplanned, in person or Zoom, she could always be counted on to capture a photo and submit that as well. And when the pandemic forced dramatic shifts in her career as a professional musician, Becky penned a moving column for the magazine titled Coming Full Circle during COVID-19. Becky's commitment to everything she does is admirable. And Dickinson Magazine is so fortunate that for 15 years she has committed to keeping her classmates connected, informed, and entertained. Becky, for your dedication to your class and your efforts to keep Dickinsonians connected, it is my pleasure to present you with the Class Correspondent of the Year Award. An outstanding reunion volunteer is someone who has shown great dedication and enthusiasm in planning activities during Alumni Weekend, encouraging engagement with Dickinson, and increasing participation in the class gift. This year's recipients have gone above and beyond in every regard. Ben Compain and Stu Glenn, both from the class of 1967, have been faithfully leading reunion efforts for their class since their first reunion. This year, for their 55th, they've recruited more than 40 classmates to join their committee, and they've been attentive to every detail, including progress on the scholarship that the class of 1967 established during their 50th reunion. More importantly, they have inspired continued engagement for their classmates for 55 years. Stu and Ben were the class and Senate presidents their senior year, and they never stopped being leaders for Dickinson. Ben and Stu, we are thrilled to honor you as this year's Reunion Volunteers of the Year. I am curious to see how loud it will be for our next award. I have one final volunteer award to present, and we are thrilled to honor the work of a dedicated class with the Reunion Committee of the Year Award. And the class of 1992 30th Reunion Committee has done an outstanding job planning and fundraising. The committee met 9 times, arranged a Zoom for their entire class, created a Facebook page, and sent hundreds of personalized notes to their classmates. The committee started with a goal of raising $175,000 from 35% of their class, and they shattered these goals by raising $575,000 from over 50% of the class. These numbers are a direct result of the committee's efforts, including 750 personalized solicitations and thank you messages. Class of 1992, we are thrilled to recognize your dedication with the Reunion Volunteer of the Year Award. Can everyone from the class of 1992 I'd now like to transition to presenting 4 Distinguished Alumni Awards. Recipients demonstrate exemplary service to the college, accomplishment in their professional and civic lives, and strength of character. Every year, the Alumni Council reviews nominations to select these recipients, and it is an impressive reminder, to say the least, of the degree to which Dickinson alums are engaging the world and having impact across a breadth of situations. The Outstanding Young Alumni Awards recognize the professional and civic accomplishments of the college's young alums. These are folks who have graduated within the past 15 years, so I'm happy to be counted as a young alum. The first of this year's recipients, Fabiola Cenius, is here today for her 10th reunion. After leaving Dickinson to serve and teach for America, she transitioned her career as a journalist and now works as a reporter for Vox, where she covers race and policy, exploring systemic injustice in America. Her path is not surprising to those who know her. Professor Wendy Moffett said, and I quote, "As a student, Fabiola went straight for the hard stuff, writing a thesis on the structures of duality. She's still confronting the hard questions and the most vexing cultural evidence, still writing to deadline, listening to many voices, and still honing precisely what she means to convey," end quote. As her posse mentor, Rob Beckelheimer said, "I'm proud but not surprised to see that she has taken the knowledge and skills she developed at Dickinson to build a successful and fulfilling career," end quote. Fabiola also hosts and produces a podcast for Vox and hosts an Emmy-nominated YouTube original series called Glad You Asked. In short, she works to share news and truth with the world around her. Fabiola, in honor of your work and your activism, I am thrilled to present you with the Outstanding Young Alumni Award.
Wow, hi everyone. I first want to say it's very, very exciting to be outside. I work from home 100% of the time, so I probably leave my apartment 1 time a week. My boyfriend is here, he can confirm that. He's concerned most of the time. But I am so honored to be recognized by the Alumni Council and to be chosen from so many talented Dickinsonians. Dickinson gave me so many opportunities to explore who I am, so many opportunities to really figure out what my passions are. And it really honed a sense of curiosity for me, and the same curiosity that I grew at Dickinson is what I use in my journalism today. And of course, as we heard in the introduction, I was an English major. I learned a lot of those skills as an English major. And I was thinking about it early today, and I realized that it took me a really long time to even declare English as my major, and I was trying to figure out why, and I think it was because I was a little scared. I had already taken Professor Lynn Johnson. I had her for my freshman seminar class, and that was really, really hard. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this again. And then, of course, I had heard of Professor Moffett. And I just want to say that this week we were emailing, and Professor Moffett told me that I could call her Wendy because, I graduated 10 years ago, but I don't think I'm ready for that yet. But I think that I was right to be a little bit scared because being an English major and being in the English department really challenged me. The professors that I worked with did not make it easy. They really gave me something to strive for, and I think I got to so many moments where I felt like, man, maybe this isn't what I can do. Maybe this isn't what I should be doing. But they showed me that there was a way forward. So I just want to say thank you to those professors. In addition to Professor Moffett and Professor Johnson, I want to shout out Professor Ball, Professor Seiler, Professor Ness, Professor Reed, Professor O'Brien. Hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But I just had a wonderful time, and so many lessons that I learned as an English major I take with me today as a journalist. I also want to add that, of course, none of that would be possible without the Posse Scholarship. Are there some, yes, okay, thank you. So I'm so grateful that Dickinson partners with the Posse Foundation. I came to campus with 11 other people that I knew from New York City. And even before I came to campus, Posse told me that I was a leader. And before I knew it, they were just like, this is something you can do. You can kind of look within you and see that you have power to affect change. And so when I got on campus, I really took advantage of that. I joined a lot of clubs, maybe too many. I was part of Student Senate. I was mob chair for some time. I wrote for Dickinson Magazine. Yeah, that's right, Dickinson Magazine. And I just learned so much. And I think from all of that, I learned the purpose of community. I learned what it meant to lean on people when things got difficult. And I want to shout out my posse mentor, Rob Beckelheimer, who has just shown me what I'm capable of. And Rob also just has the biggest network of anyone that I know. And I can call him up, and he's like, you need to talk to this person. He can connect me to anyone, and just shows me that there's a Dickinsonian everywhere. The final thing that I want to say is that my dad passed away this year. He passed away in late January from the coronavirus, and it's been really, really hard to accept. And the very first story that I wrote for Vox was actually a feature story about how the pandemic was disproportionately affecting people in Black and brown communities. And I had no idea, the kind of impact that the pandemic would have on our lives, and I had no idea that it would hit so close to home. And when I wrote that story, it was at a time when we were still trying to understand how underlying conditions were affecting people. I was like calling hospitals and trying to figure out, who was being most affected by this. And so I think back to the early days of the pandemic and how I worked through that. I was still able to, help people understand this new virus. And I think right now in this tough time, this year has not been easy. I still think back to the skills and the lessons that I learned at Dickinson to just persevere and keep going. I know my dad would be proud. He loved coming to Dickinson every year to help me move in, help me move out, and so he'd be happy to be here with me today. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much, Dickinson and the Alumni Council.
Our second outstanding Young Alumni Award recipient has dedicated his life to service. J.D. Dolan, my classmate from 2007, served as ROTC Battalion Commander, graduated magna cum laude, and earned top honors as a National Distinguished Military Grad and top 2% officer in the nation. He has served 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, the last 3 as a member of the nation's heralded Special Joint Operations Command. He's earned a Bronze Star for Valor, and his unit earned both the Presidential Unit Citation and the Valorous Unit Award. His friends call him a natural leader. As one said, and I quote, "He is the guy his peers look up to, and someone who will treat you fairly and always have your back. If you look back, whether it was ROTC, Phi Delt, or Army Rangers, he was and is a leader that always cares more for those around him and their successes than his own." End quote. Since transitioning to civilian life, J.D. has been dedicating himself to service. He taught at St. John's University and published a book on finance for soldiers and their families. Recently, he co-founded LDR Growth Partners, all while giving back through veteran-focused charitable organizations and mentoring current ROTC students. Last year, he led a major ground support operation during the collapse of Afghanistan, and in recent months, he's facilitated cross-border humanitarian support during the ongoing war in the Ukraine. In nominating him for this award, Christian Beitel Horton wrote, "JD is one who leads by example, cares for and lifts up those around him, and who truly embodies the attributes of the globally engaged citizen that Dickinson seeks to create." We could not agree more. JD, in recognition of your life of service and true embodiment of the Dickinson spirit, it is my honor to present you with the Outstanding Young Alumni Award.
Thank you so much. Well, I have to say, it is a small world, and Dickinson seems to be everywhere. Just this week, I met a Dickinsonian that I hadn't met before. My wife and I just moved to Annapolis, and we were at a new gym we joined, and I found myself chatting after a lift with an older gentleman, and we got to talking, and he was asking about my weekend plans, and I happened to mention that I was coming back for our 15. And it turns out it was Jim Chambers, who some of you know, a legend in his own right. I hope he's watching right now, but I look forward to a lifetime of friendship, but Dickinson is everywhere. So it's challenging to put into words the significance of this award for me, and the honor it is to even be nominated, much less selected, particularly among a growing base of high-impact graduates that clearly punch above their weight class. This award in our 15-year reunion provided me with an opportunity to reflect on my path since graduation. It's a path that has spanned geographies, cultures, industries, and countless inspiring individuals and leaders. But across all those things, the words that keep coming to mind are a call to serve. In reflecting, it struck me that Dickinson itself is perhaps the greatest cultivator, enabler, and builder of individuals and leaders alike who are interested in a life in pursuit of service to others. I have been fortunate in my life to live, learn, and most importantly, be shaped by incredible leaders, teachers, coaches, commanders, and mentors, but rarely are all these life contributors found in the very same ecosystem, like they are here at Dickinson. Since graduation, I've had the privilege of serving our country as an infantry officer, and later Strike Force Commander, then serving as an assistant professor at St. John's University in New York for their Army ROTC department, which was pretty neat, while attending business school. After grad school in New York, I co-founded a business, LDR Growth Partners, that I still own and operate today. A private equity firm and consulting business founded under the principle that leadership and service intersect at the greatest equity investment opportunities. Over the last 5 years, I've had the opportunity to continue to serve, leading a voluntary crisis response team during Hurricane Harvey, leading a joint special operations force and NGO ad hoc team to evacuate 10,000 Afghan allies during the fall of Afghanistan, while serving as a director on the board of No One Left Behind. And most recently, lead a team of former U.S. Special Operations veterans and emergency responders in a volunteer effort to support the ongoing humanitarian efforts in the war in Ukraine. I would say I was born with an interest in service, the only child of a former Airborne Ranger qualified infantry officer in Vietnam, turned entrepreneur, and a registered nurse turned holistic health counselor, and now a husband to a healthcare educator turned world-class children's swim coach. But Dickinson shaped that interest into a calling and set me on a path toward exactly that. As we often coach at LDR Leadership, the secret to becoming the very best leader you can be, which I'll add is the same secret to becoming the very most fulfilled person you can become, is to identify where you are when you are at your very best, and then to maximize the time in this space. For me, this space exists when I answer the call to serve, in combat, in conflict, in disaster, and here at home, building and buying American businesses, most predominantly those in the U.S. industrial manufacturing sector. As evidenced by the long line of awardees that have come before me, and those that are certain to follow, at Dickinson, answering this call is not an exception, it is a rule. There is something about these limestone walls that cultivates a sense of service and shapes that sense into something much more tangible, which, for many of us, changes our lives forever. Thank you for this incredible honor. God bless this great college, God bless this great country, and may you answer your call early and often. Rangers lead the way.
The Professional Achievement Awards are presented to Dickinsonians who have achieved outstanding distinction in their life's work. This year's first recipient has done that, and so much more. Dr. Paul Canev, class of 1975, is one of only 2 pediatric neurosurgeons tandem trained in pediatrics. By intentionally cross-training in both disciplines, he better serves his young patients and their families. After graduating from Dickinson with a degree in chemistry, he received an MD from Temple and has worked at hospitals across the country, led research projects, spoken extensively on issues such as epilepsy surgery and spinal cord malformations, and published dozens of book chapters and journal articles. He's mentored and trained generations of surgeons who will follow him. He's an amazing doctor, surgeon, and scientist, but it's foremost a good person who takes time to comfort families and children during their hardest days. His patients refer to him as Santa Claus. As Professor Truman Bullard said, and I quote, "Paul represents in his way of life and his values the fulfillment of my deepest desires as a teacher of the art of music. I salute this wonderful man, the compassionate and selfless doctor of children and loyal alumnus of noble Dickinsonia." End quote. Dr. Canev, I want to thank you for your work, your dedication to your patients, their families, and to educating others in your field. It is my pleasure to present you with the Professional Achievement Award.
I am truly humbled by this award. I'm an accidental pediatric neurosurgeon, leaving Dickinson with a major in chemistry. I went to grad school thinking I'd be a bioscientist engineer. I had trouble spelling engineering, and the medicine of the research projects I was engaged in was far more appealing, which took me to Temple Med. And as a lover of children, I couldn't decide between being a surgeon and being a pediatrician, so I trained in both. I missed the 80s as a resident through that 10 years, and stumbled across England and the United States at a series of hospitals. I can't accept this award without acknowledging the team of people I've worked with through the years, because without them, this would not be possible. Forgive my emotions, but what I do is the worst and best job in the world, and I couldn't be here without the colleagues I've had throughout my career. Thank you very much.
Our next recipient of the Professional Achievement Award has been a leader in the PGA Tour for over 20 years. Kirsten Nixon Sebia, class of 1992, is the Vice President of Integrated Communications at the PGA Tour, where she oversees the tour's complex storytelling content machine. She and her team are responsible for implementing tour messaging across multiple outlets. She's an advocate and model for all Dickinsonians, especially her fellow Delta News. Kirsten shows up ready to work for her job, for her loved ones, and for all the members of her community. Those who know her are not surprised that she is successful in the world of athletics and communications. As Barb Bailey, class of 73, has said, and I quote, "Kirsten is the perfect ambassador for Delta Nu values: friendship, diversity, inclusion, justice, personal integrity, fairness, and the courage to stand up for what is right." End quote. She shares those values widely outside of the workplace, serving on the Donna Foundation Board to advance breast cancer research, on the Delta Nu Advisory Board to mentor current students, and as a Dickinson volunteer for 30 years. Julie Alexander, class of 1980, had this to say: "Kirsten is the whole package. She's fun. She's a friend for life. She has crazy energy. She is highly professional, ambitious, more than competent, clever, creative, and accountable. She is interested, and she's interesting. She is who all of us want to be around." Kirsten, for your achievements in the workplace and beyond, it is my privilege to present you with the Professional Achievement Award.
Fabiola, I'm over 50, so I need some notes here. Thank you. I'm incredibly honored and proud to be a Dickinsonian and incredibly humbled to receive this award. When my parents and I first visited Dickinson College in 1987, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with my life or where I was headed. But there was something about this little school in Carlisle that seemed to fit. And not just for me, but for my mom as well. She would later share that from the moment we saw this limestone-walled campus, she knew this was the place for me. Apparently, as I sat in my admissions interview, not too far from where we are now, Mom looked at Dad, and as they waited in the reception area, she said, "This is where Kirsten belongs." My dad agreed, although he was a little more practical in his reply, "How much does this cost?" As he absorbed a bit of the sticker shock for the first of his 4 kids to head to college. My mom simply replied, "We'll figure it out." How grateful I am that they did figure it out, because my mom was right. I did belong here. Dickinson is where I learned to be me. Those formative years gave me a confidence in myself, an acceptance in and of others, and a shared, joyful experience that has stood the test of time. My professors, my Delta Nu sisters, my classmates, many of whom are here today, you gave me that sense of belonging that I didn't even know I needed, nor did I realize how it would shape the person I would become. What I learned from Dickinson in 4 years has allowed me to belong elsewhere in the 30 years since. From my first job at the Battle of Normandy Foundation, where my first boss was actually a Dickinson grad, to my current role and my dream job at the PGA Tour, I could never have imagined belonging to such an incredible organization where I get the chance to be me and make a difference every day. Along the way, I met my husband of 22 years, Barry, who reminds me that I also belong, not to him, but with him. He takes care of me so I can dedicate much of my energy to following my passion at the tour. Thank you, Barry. I know I couldn't do it alone. And isn't that really what belonging is all about? We can't do anything alone. College, jobs, life. So thank you, Mom and Dad, and Barry, and thank you, Dickinson College, for that acceptance letter I received on December 22nd, 1987. I love belonging to this family, and my success belongs to all of you. Thank you very much.
There are so many alumni who give back to Dickinson in incredible and inspiring ways. But some alumni take the college wholly into their hearts and lives and dedicate themselves to its betterment. The Walter E. Beach Distinguished Alumni Award for Service recognizes those special individuals who have rendered conspicuous and meritorious service to Dickinson. This year's award recipient, Roberta Greenspan, served Dickinson with her whole heart before sadly passing away last year. I would like to welcome President Jones back to the podium to present this final award to his classmate.
There are indeed many people gathered here today to celebrate all of our award recipients, especially so for my classmate, Roberta. I want to welcome the many members of her family who've gathered here to be a part of this ceremony and to visit this campus that meant so much to her. Roberta Zamuta Greenspan was truly a force. Those of us lucky enough to count her as a classmate or a friend, know that she was a force for good, indeed a force of nature. She was passionate about the things she cared about, and Dickinson is made better by her passion for our college. Roberta spent more than 40 years of her life volunteering for Dickinson. To name just a few things that Roberta did in service of Dickinson: she was a class agent, she was a reunion chair, she was an alumni council member, she was a member of the Dickinson Fund Advisory Council, and she was chair of the Washington, D.C. Regional Council. Over the years, she chaired each class reunion with great enthusiasm and diligent leadership. Our 45th class reunion, which is happening right now, does not feel the same without her, but we feel and see her influence as we gather. I looked at the picture in the program, and it took me back to 5 years ago, and the smile and the commitment and the enthusiasm for this college, they were always palpable, and we miss her dearly. While a student at Dickinson, Roberta was a Hofstadter Award winner, a proud member of Wheel and Chain and Delta Nu, and a fierce competitor on multiple athletic teams. I should note that 2 women's basketball teams on which she played were honored by the Dickinson College Athletics Hall of Fame. Susan Pearsall, her teammate, said, "Roberta was a team builder on and off the court. She loved bringing people together and mentored younger colleagues in her financial career. Roberta never stopped giving back to Dickinson, and she was grateful for every dollar of financial aid she received." Roberta's love of Dickinson was contagious. Many Dickinsonians came to know Roberta through her volunteer work for Dickinson. She was a welcoming presence at events, an eager mentor to students and young alumni, and a willing partner to colleagues across the campus. Her loss, the terrible loss of Roberta last year, has been felt deeply by all of us. I was heartsick, frankly, to hear that as I thought ahead of our 45th reunion, and that she would not be here to celebrate with us on this otherwise celebratory occasion. Classmate and friend Martha Harris said, and I quote, "Her joy of living and loving nature drew people to her. I was grateful to be among her closest friends." Roberta was the type of person who made everyone feel special and strive to be their best. "I am a better person," Martha said, because of Roberta. To that, I can only add that Dickinson is a better college because of Roberta. She was everything that we want our alums to be. We miss her. We're grateful to have known her during her long period of service. And most of all, I think of Roberta and her ebullient, can-do attitude, because that's what Roberta really was all about at her essence. It's my great honor now to welcome her son, Ben Greenspan, to accept the award on his mother's behalf and to say a few words.
Wow. I first really need to thank Dickinson for honoring my mom, Roberta Zamuta Greenspan, with this absolutely incredible award. It is so sad that she couldn't be here to accept such an incredible honor, but knowing her, she would have likely tried to say that someone else was more deserving, just the type of person that she was. But this award really would and does mean the absolute world to her. Roberta worked very hard throughout her career to learn all that she could, and she was driven by an incredibly strong intellectual curiosity. I'm sure her friends from college, some of which are here tonight, would agree that she really attributes Dickinson not only as the jumping off point for the rest of her career, but a place where she was able to feel supported and really blossom into the leader and the mentor that she came to be. While here, she double majored in business and psychology before heading off to the University of Notre Dame for her MBA. While she did have a very successful career in business, it's how many lives she touched through her patience, wisdom, mentorship, support, and service that really stands out. Some of the positions that she held at Dickinson were thankfully just read, but are really just a testament to how much that she cared about this school. I'm Roberta's only child, and I'm very thankful that I was the beneficiary of having this type of mentorship for my entire life. It might not be a huge leap, but I became a very curious kid. And I asked why, maybe a few hundred too many times. And when I did ask, I always got a very calm answer from her. And she would either say the answer, or if she didn't know it, we would try to figure it out together. Definitely would not have been without her, but I kept asking questions and thankfully earned my PhD as well, which was nice to follow in her footsteps. Throughout some of these discussions, I heard her say on many occasions that while her career was in business, it was really the psychology background and her understanding of people from this tremendous college that she felt was the most valuable to her. Something that I would come to understand much more as I grew a little older. It does appear that her ability to understand and empathize with people is really true based on the amount of people that are here today showing their support for her. And again, I am just truly grateful for Dickinson honoring her in this way for the school that she loved so much. Thank you all very much.
Ben, thank you for those moving words. So apt under the circumstances. It's under the circumstances our great privilege to be able, even posthumously, to give that award to Roberta. So for all of you, thank you. Congratulations once again to our volunteer and distinguished alumni recipients this evening. The stories, the examples, the wise words, the inspirational words that we've heard really truly speak to the depth and the breadth of what is made possible through a Dickinson education. Once again, let's give our 2022 Alumni Awards a round of applause. Now, I hope that all of you will, you're all going to be dismissed in a minute, and I hope you'll all join me over at Britton Plaza for some adult beverages if you choose, and some merriment, and then thereafter we have dinner on Morgan Field, and thank you all. This is a great turnout. It's so good to see all of you, and we'll see you around the next couple days. Thanks for coming.